Hey guys, today I wanted to do a book review, and I swear I was going to make my bed for this, but then, yep. So, we're gonna deal with this. Today I want to talk about The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. Now, I don't think that I need to tell you about this book because it has been a bestseller, everyone's read it, but I just got to it. I had to wait in line to get the audiobook for it because it was quite popular at my library, and it took a little while, but I finally got it and I listened to it last week. Now, a little disclaimer, I really love thriller and horror as a genre, so I am quite picky about my books. And some of you might know that I recently read Night Film at the beginning of the year. My review to that will be in the eye here. And while I was reading that, I was messaging Gretchen, and I said, "Oh, I knew it! I figured it out at the end." And she said, "Well, then isn't that a bad thriller, because you knew what the end was?" And I had to think about that, and I said, no. The fun in thrillers is trying to solve the mystery. That's part of what you do when watching and reading them. For me, there are 4 categories of thrillers that start with the main question of, did you know who it was at the end? If the answer was no, there are 2 categories, which is no, and there were clues the whole time and I just never put it together, or no, and it came completely out of left field and I never would have been able to figure it out because of poor hints or the lack of hints altogether throughout the story. And then there's yes, where it's yes, I figured it out because it was blatantly obvious and nothing was hidden and there weren't any red herrings and things like that. Or yes, but I had to work at it and I was tricked a little bit along the way, but eventually I got there right as it was about to happen. Night Film for me was that type of yes, where yes, I did know what it was in the end that this mystery was working towards, but I figured that out by picking up on all of the little clues that she hinted along the way, and I did see what those pieces were being made to look like when it wasn't what it actually is. That's one of the best things about good thrillers, that they make those pieces fit multiple possibilities. The same clues could reach different endings and different people could think that something different was happening along the way. That's a really well-built mystery. Whereas with The Girl on the Train, I felt that it was one of those bad no's. I didn't see the end coming, and while I didn't see it coming, I think that the reason I didn't see it coming was that it wasn't an ending that was being led up to. That being said, I did enjoy the story. It just wasn't everything I thought it was going to be. So many people loved it, and I don't know if they loved it because they don't normally read thriller, and this was a thriller that they could get their hands on. But for me, it wasn't the best in the genre, and it wasn't just that, but it was not well constructed. It was well written, the story was compelling, but at the end, I didn't believe what I had been told. Everything that had been leading up to this point didn't make sense with the way that it ended, and I'm being vague so that there won't be any spoilers, because thrillers can definitely be spoiled. You don't want to know what the ending is before you get there, but at the same time, I didn't believe it. On top of that, Rachel for me was a really annoying character, and frustrating. I realize that she's supposed to be that way because she's an unreliable narrator, but she was so caught up in herself and was doing this for her own reasons and not for anything good that I just wished she would stop. Honestly, it was one of the worst detectives that I've had, not just because she was not a detective and just a person, but because she was doing it for herself, and that was frustrating, and I didn't like her because of that. That being said, I liked her better than I liked Anna, who was just even more of a selfish bitch, and Megan, all of the women in this story were so self-involved and completely unable to empathize with the other women. And that might be something interesting to talk about at some point, but for me it was just so frustrating. I wanted them to help each other or care about each other or something, and even the people that they cared about, they didn't seem to fully care about in the end. They were so wishy-washy and vapid, and I just wanted something more from them, I guess. I realize that this is a controversial opinion. A lot of people really loved it, and if you are one of those people, please, please, please tell me what it is about this that you found so compelling. The writing was really well done, and I actually think that Megan's parts were my favorite parts because they seemed to be hinting at something and building up to something more, whereas the other sections just sort of seemed to be relating to character relationships that I didn't really care about. But overall, that's what I have to say about it. It was frustrating and I wanted more from it. Just overall really disappointing. If you want to see a happier review, I'm going to be doing one on Thursday here on the YouTube channel and on Friday on my blog, where I talk about Mr. Splitfoot by Samantha Hunt. And that one I really enjoyed, and I will be discussing why I think it's such a great book. But for now, that's all I have for you guys, so I will see you then. Bye, guys.